Hi everyone, I'm Oliver from Blendtuts.com. In the last part of this tutorial we saw how to make a simulation of an ocean, okay, and we ended up with something like this. Okay, we only have the simulation and now we have to add shaders, lighting, materials, and of course make the final compositing to get to the final rendered scene. So let's start with it. This is the result we ended up with in the first part of the tutorial, and now we are going to start shading stuff. But before we start, I would add to point out something, and is that this water will be a reflective surface, and as a reflective surface, I usually keep in mind one thing, and is that ultimately the color of this surface will depend a lot on the background itself, because the background will be reflected on it. So before working on this material, I'd like to add the sky or something like that, so then when we apply the material to this surface we can see more or less what we have actually, what we will have in the end. So we can tweak the colors of this surface depending on the background colors, because they will add a lot of their color to this surface. So let's start by adding the sky. So I press 1 in the numpad to go to the front view. Press Shift-C to center the 3D cursor, and I add a plane that I will make a lot bigger and rotate it 90 degrees in the x-axis, something like this. And now I go to the perspective view, and we can see that the clipping is limiting our view because this scene is really big. So I press N, and right here in the view panel I have the clip menu, so I can just add another 0 to the end, like 10,000, so we can see the whole scene. Now I move this plane to the background, right, to the end of the scene. So this in this plane I will project a texture of a sky, right? And well, usually we should do, you know, some kind of a spherical thing to cover all the scene, all the surroundings with the sky, but in this case, as we are only going to see the scene from this point of view, a plane with a photo is enough. Okay, so I press 0 to go to this view, and I will just scale it up a little more than what the edges of the camera see, so when the camera moves along the animation, we don't see the borders, never. Alright. Alright, so now I added this plane, I think I can start adding the materials. So from Blender Render, I switch to Cycles Render, right? Because we want to make this in cycles. So, okay, I switch this viewport shading to Rendered. And here in the Render panel, I go here, and instead of CPU, I will use GPU to make it a little faster. Okay, now we are watching everything in white because we don't have materials yet. So making sure I have selected the plane. Let's make sure. Let's go to the solid mode and select this plane. Somehow it's not showing up here. What's happening? Let's check. Wow, this is kind of interesting. Okay. It's here. Alright, so as you notice in the first part of the tutorial, I created two different scenes, one with the generated surface and another one with the displaced surface, okay, for the ocean simulation. So in this case, I wanted to switch here in the outliner to the displaced scene. Just right, little detail that I didn't keep in mind. Okay, so this is the plane, and I'm actually going to call it sky plane. Okay, just to recognize it better right here. And this plane is the ocean, so I will call it ocean plane. All right, so we know what we are looking at in any case, and when we are in cycles, it's very useful to select stuff from here. All right, so I can just go again to the camera view with 0 in the numpad and put it on render mode. Okay. Now I'm going to split this view and add a new image editor. So in the render result, I close it, and here I just drag and drop this image of a sky. Okay, this is an image of a sky. I took it from Shutterstock, but you can use whatever sky image you like from Google, or you can do it yourself. Take yourself a camera and take a photo. And of course, this part of the bottom part of the photo, we are not going to use it. We are only going to use the sky part, right? We don't need the water. So I can close this again. And now what I'm basically gonna do is make sure I select the sky plane, add a new material, call it like sky matte. Okay, and here, instead of a diffuse, I want an emission. All right, and now I will tell you why. Now, here in the color, I will pick an image texture, and from the list, just pick the sky background that I just loaded. Now, is everything the same color? It's not working, and this is because in the plane, we don't have any UVs at all. So I'm going to switch to the solid mode, select everything, right, in the edit mode, press U and grab and exit from the edit mode. Now I go into rendered again, and this is what I have. So I press C to go to the camera, and now we can adjust this, all right? I will scale it in the Z axis so we can see more of the clouds and bring it down a little bit, right? Something like this. Okay, so we have an image of a sky in the background already. And as we move through the scene, it's always feeding the camera. All right. So now we have this sky. I can already go ahead, select the ocean plane, and add a very simple material to it. Then we will have time to complicate it. So I add it and I call it ocean material. Oh, by the way, the reason why I added here an emission material is because if we add a diffuse one, it will be affected by lights, and we want this photo to be completely shadeless. So having an emission material in one of strength, with one in the strength value, will be shadeless. The lights or anything we add in the scene will not project shadows or light this object. Okay, so this is exactly what we want for our sky. So now I will select the ocean plane again, and here instead of a diffuse, I'm going to add a glossy shader. All right, and here we have something already, but this is not good at all yet. So we go to the world, we add a new material, and this material I will call it sky world, right? Because as you can see now, these parts are reflecting gray color because they are reflecting the background of the world where this image is not happening. All right, we have only a sky texture in this part of the scene in front of the camera, but all the rest of the world is being gray, this color here. So as you can see, if I change this color, that reflection also changes. So what I need to do is to, here in the surface is a background, which is correct, and here in the color, I'm gonna add a sky texture. Now it's kind of blue, and by changing this, I can just change how it lights the scene. So you can see a different time of the day and everything. Something like this I think would be nice, and now I can decrease the strength of it just a little, just something like this. Okay, so now we have basically our scene, and I'm going to save it. All right, and now we have this ocean already with a very basic material, and I'm going to just open a node editor. Right here, let's go to the node editor, and here go to the materials, and we will start tweaking this material, right? Adding stuff, then we are going to add some foam to it and all that. So basically, first what I'm gonna do is to create a mix here, quite interesting mix. Let's get closer to the ocean because I'm gonna focus on the ocean for now. So I can just duplicate this node, the glossy material, Shift A, create a new shader, which will be mix shader. Where is it? Oh, mix shader, here it is. All right. There we have them. Now, what I'm gonna do here is to, again, Shift A, input layer weight. And the layer weight has a Fresnel or a phasing. This basically what it does is to detect where the normal of the surface is looking at, and if it's looking to the camera is the phasing. If it's looking in another direction, the opposite of the camera, for example, is a Fresnel. Okay, so in this case, I'm going to add this, and this means that the parts that are looking to the camera will have one of these materials, and the parts that aren't looking to the camera will receive other material. Let's make a test. So you can see the parts looking at the camera are receiving the blue color of the first material, and the ones that are looking to the opposite direction of the camera are receiving the orange color. All right. Also, we can change here the amount of how many of that materials receive, you know, how the Fresnel affects the materials. All right. So let's tweak this. Maybe a little color like this, or make this brighter. And probably we have here some very rough, very rigid reflection. So I would like to increase the roughness just a little bit. Probably a little more. A little more to this one also as well. Okay. Next thing I want to do is to add some detail to these waves. And what I'm going to do for now, so you can see it, is to add a new material to show you exactly what I'm going to do. So I press F here to make a fake user, so this material doesn't disappear if we close Blender somehow, or if it crashes or anything. And I'm going to just delete it from here and add a new one. Instead of a diffuse, I want here a shader emission. Here it is. And I'm doing this basically so you can see the effect I'm looking for. Now I'm going here and I add a texture, a noise texture. And I plug it into the color. All right, and this is basically what we are getting here. So I need to increase a lot the scale. But this is not exactly what I'm looking for. And I need to apply this noise texture in the UVs of the object. And for now, the ocean doesn't have UVs. So what I'm going to do is to go to the solid mode, press tab to enter in the edit mode, select everything with A, press U and grab, and now we have some UVs. Okay, so press here again to go to the camera, go again to the rendered mode, right? And now what I'm gonna do is to press Shift A, input texture coordinate, and add here the UVs. And now we are getting this so much bigger result. This is because the ocean plane is really huge. And now we have UVs, we need to increase this a lot so it fits the size of the plane. So 1000 is not enough. Let's play with 10,000 for example. And you can see that we get a noisy colored texture in the surface. Let's add with 100,000. All right, this is probably what I'm looking for, but I need this to be black and white because I'm going to add this texture to the displacement of the water, right? So I need a converter, RGB to black and white. What's going on here? Oh, okay. Sorry, I need to add it here before the material, not after the material, the shader. So converter, RGB to black and white. And as you can see, if we mute this, I don't know why. Okay, it's very low difference. Here we have color, and if I apply this here, we have black and white. Okay, so it's kind of working. So what I need to do is to place these three guys in the other material. This will be noise test material, because I guess that we are going to come back to it later. So I press F, I select these three guys, Control C, to see if I can paste them in the other one. And let's go here to the ocean matte and just Control V, and there we have those nodes. Okay, so now I can just take this and place it on the displacement, and you can see the effect we are getting. Okay, the waves now has a lot more detail there, which is, in my opinion, too much. So let's make this a little smaller, like 50,000. Okay, this looks better, in my opinion, not so much. And now, after this node, we could add here, let me check, converter, math, add it here, and put it on mode multiply. And now with this multiply, we can tweak the amount of effect this noise have in the displacement, alright? So if increase it a lot, it will be too much, and it will decrease it, alright, like 0. Here is not effect at all. So with shift and left click dragging, we can increase it little by little until we are happy with the result. I think something like this can be enough. A little more. Or you can do it negative to get exactly the opposite result. Right, so something like 0.8 should be enough. Okay, so we have that displacement. Now we are going to start working on the foam, and then we'll probably come back to these ones to tweak some details. Let's save the scene again. Now let's create here the basic setup for being able to see the foam, and then we will tweak it. All right, so let's add a mix shader. There we have it, like here. Let's move these ones to organize them a little. This will be the displacement, okay. And now we need another shader, like a diffuse shader. It can work. Place it there, and we are going to input an attribute. And I'll show you why this is right now. So here basically when we select the ocean plane, if we go to the modifiers and we check the ocean modifier, we can see that here we have the options of generate normals and generate foam. Right now for generate foam, we have the foam data layer name here. Right, so I can insert here foam, for example. And this means that if I insert here foam, it will detect this attribute here from this object, and it will use it as a factor to this mix shader. So now if I start increasing the coverage here, we should start seeing some foam. And as you can see, I think that we can already see it. Right? Actually, instead of a diffuse, let me use an emission so we can see it better. Emission. Plug it here, and there you have the foam effect. All right, so if we tweak here the coverage, you can see how it affects. All right, and we have to keep in mind some things later, but for now, as you can see, if I increase the coverage a lot, it gets completely foamy. Right, like 1, and maybe go to 0.2. All right, let's say 0.2 is enough. Maybe 0.15. Okay, this later it depends a lot on what you're looking for, okay? Now here, keep in mind that I'm going to use the generated one from here, but if you want to get a better result in the final render, if it's an animation overall, I recommend you to bake it. all right? Because when you bake it, you can use this foam fade factor. That is that the foam in the real water, it never just appears and goes out spontaneously, all right? Which is what happens with the generated one. It's taking the higher spots of the water, in which we have some sharp vertices, all right, and it's adding, you know, the foam there. But when you are in the real water, the foam is generated and it stays there for a while, okay? And with this foam fade factor, you can gain that effect, okay? The foam, as it's created, it stays in the texture for the number of seconds that you input here, all right? And it will be you know, fade in a few seconds. So that's a greater result, of course, but I'm not going to enter into baking this now and all that. You just need to bake it, and the image sequence you get from it in this folder here, you just load it into the material, and that's it, right? And you use it exactly as we are going to use this attribute here. So now we have this. I will start tweaking the foam, okay? And for tweaking the foam, I'm going to actually use again the noise, okay? But instead of this one, I'm going to change this again to the noise test material, and I want to check this size, like 1 million, and this is probably too little, so I'm going to use instead like 500,000. Okay, and this looks pretty good to me. So again, I will just take these three, press Ctrl C to copy them, add again the ocean material, and just paste them here with Ctrl V. So we are going to have this, and we need to do something here, which is just let me think for a while what I need to do. So probably we need to mix this, okay? Let's separate them quite a bit from here because we are going to need some space, okay? So we have this, and I need here a color mix. This will be the base color. Yeah, and this will be the second color. And now I'm going to plug these two guys here. Let's just delete this one and plug it. All right. Now instead of mix, what I want to do is to add a multiply, and let's put it on 1. So as you can see very slightly, here we are like subtracting to the white color that we get from the attribute foam. I'm applying this texture over it and multiplying it. So the black parts of the noise texture are applying some black dots into that white material, and here in the factor the black parts are transparent, so they see the sieve under it. So what I can do here to increase that effect is to add a color RGB curves. Keep in mind that there are a lot of ways to achieve this effect. I'm just showing you some little tricks that you can use to get it, all right? So as you can see here, what I'm basically doing is to increasing a lot the contrast, all right? So the black parts are more black, and we get more transparent areas here, right? Or we could even make everything a lot darker. As you can see, the whole foam effect gets more transparent, but I prefer to get this because now I'm going to take these two guys with Shift D, duplicate them, take the UV here and plug it there, so we get this also in the UVs. And I'm going to duplicate this node, the multiply, because to this one, this original one that we already have, I'm going to multiply it again, but this time I'm going to make this this texture a lot bigger. So it will have a lot bigger noise. Let's try with 1000, see what we get. And actually, let's duplicate the RGB curves and apply them here. See what we get. Maybe increase it more, like 10,000. As you can see, we get some more. But this is probably too big still. So 5,000. Okay, let's check it in full screen to see what we have. Okay, so I'm not very happy with it, actually. I'm just trying things. Keep in mind that then it's a matter of tweaking all this. I'm using noise textures so you can see how to use them, but you could use a real foam texture, okay, to apply to this mask, because actually the foam effect we get from Blender, we are using it as a mask to mask this this texture for the foam. Okay, so you can use without any kind of problem real foam texture. So let's decrease this multiplied value. Get something different. Okay, so instead of tweaking that, I would like the water to be darker, okay, because I think it's usually darker. And that will help create the contrast with the foam. And actually, I usually, for this kind of scenes, I don't try to get the color completely right at this point, because I usually like to tweak the colors later in compositing to make them fit together with the sky. And actually, we are going to see it later, right? So, well, here we have this, and we could go ahead and just apply these RGB curves after this. And let's tweak it right here. And if we make these ones a lot brighter here, we can have some brighter spots in the foam. Okay, let's try with this one. As you can see, if we play with the different RGB curves to get more contrast, we can have quite different results. Okay, let's go to this last one. Okay, so let's say we are happy with this for now. Naturally, I think I will go back. We'll select all these guys and move them right here, just to have this a little more organized. And this here, I think I will make it a little orange, like to fit more the color of the background. Okay. Okay, now I want to point out a little issue. Okay, as I said, I'm doing all of this just to show you how it's done. Okay, you should tweak this a lot, all right, until you get the result exactly as you want it. Okay, we could even make these spots a little smaller, like, let's add here a 8, for example. You can see a lot smaller points, or 10, right? Much more smaller even, until we get the right result. Now there is one thing that matters a lot here, and is the resolution of the model we are using, right? Because if we increase here the resolution, we will probably also increase the quality of the foam. This is because the foam effect is actually coloring the vertices, right? So the more vertices we have, the better effect we can get. The issue here in this particular scene, having in mind the way we did it, is that, right, for now I'm going to use the 2 so it's not so overloaded, the scene. The thing here, I'm also going to the sampling and keep the preview to 100 so we can see better this part without so many noise, to see if you can check what I'm talking about. So the little issue here, given the way that we achieved this scene, is that we have a lot of resolution here in front of the camera, but we have much less resolution as we go farther from the camera. And this is actually a little issue because, you know, when we get the foam here, it's happening that here there are a lot less vertices than here. So here we only see the foam effect in this these sharp edges here, but as we go farther from the camera, we have a lot more foam because there are much less vertices to color. All right, so we get that effect. So usually what I do in this case is that I apply an effect to the material that makes us kind of mask the effect of something depending on the distance from the camera. All right, so you could get you know, the effect, the complete foam effect here in front of the camera, but as we go farther from the camera, the foam starts to disappear, so we won't notice that there is so much foam right there. So let's go to do it, and here basically what I'm gonna do is to add another mix shader, plug it here, and actually add it on top and add this one in the bottom. And what is this? Let me explain it to you. So basically what this does is that it's taking the material before it has foam and after it has foam. So now what I'm gonna do is to apply an effect to the factor that let me control when the material with the foam is shown and when the material without it is shown. Okay, so this is the material without foam, the basic sea ocean, and this is the material with the foam already added. So I'm mixing them together right here. So let's add here with Shift A an input light path, place it here, and I'm going to pick the ray length, which is, as you can imagine, the distance that the ray of light travels. All right, so depending on the distance it travels, it will have an effect or another. And now I can use here two math nodes to control that effect. So let's jump here back to the rendered mode. Here's the effect for now. I need to clamp both of this. Okay, and this one will be add and this one will be multiply. So basically the effect will be that this add will define where the foam starts and where it ends, and the multiply will define how smooth will be the transition. Okay, so this one, let's try with something like -40. And we can see that now here in front of the camera we have nothing. So we have two ways of solving it. We can add an invert node, a color color invert node right there to invert the color we get from here before it reaches the factor value, or we can just switch this. Right, so now as you can see, we have here the foam in the foreground closer to the camera, but not in the background. As you can see, even we have something, it's not as prominent like here. So let's even keep increasing this. Let's see what happens. 69, and as you can see, we can see now foam even farther, but let's try with something very small so you can see the effect better. Now here we can watch it right there, and here we reduce the amount of foam we have here, and this is actually because we have the value right here. If we increase this value a lot, you can see that the transition is much rigid and we have no foam at all in the background, right? Only in the foreground. And if we start decreasing this, you can see how now we can see also this foam, and if we keep increasing it, now you could see this one appear, now this one, and same for all the foam till the end. So let's do it with something like minus 60, sorry, 60, right? So we get foam until that point. And now also let's tweak this point. Here in point 1, for example, we will have a very smooth transition, so smooth that we can see almost foam until the background. But if we increase it, we can play with that. All right, so let's put something like 0.8. So we still have something out there, and there is kind of a transition, but not too much. All right, so let's see. I'm happy with this. Let's say I'm happy with this. Okay, so now let's go to the next step, and is that let's imagine that we finished tweaking these materials, right? Because we made it already a little complex, but I hope you understood what I explained here, and now you had to you know, dedicate time to it with these methods and try to get it better, right? Because that's the point actually. And right now I'm not using even you know, reference photos or anything. I'm just showing to you the methods on how the material can be mixed and everything, and how to make some complex materials. All right, so I'm going to save this. Okay, I'm going now to get everything ready to the final compositing. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to pick the sky plane, go here to the viewport, press M, and move it to the layer number 2. Okay, now activate the layer 2 here. And another thing that I like to add before we jump into the final render is to add a sun. Press T so I can see this, because now I'm going to create a circle here, and I want it to be filled by an end-gun, for example, right? Now I'm going to make it bigger and rotate it in the x-axis 90 degrees. This will be the sun of our scene, and let's place it. Let's go here. I want a 3D view here. All right, so I can play with it, and here I can see the camera even in rendered mode. And actually I'm going right ahead and add a material to this, which will be sun material. This sun material will have an emission shader, and this will help us achieve the reflection of the sun over the sea. So something like a lot bigger. Go to the background, right? So there you have the effect I'm talking about, but I'm going to make it a lot smaller. Maybe place it something like there, right? If we put it higher, it will reflect a lot more, but let's lower it a little bit, something right there. And let's make it something like orange, something like that. so the reflection is orange, even the sun is completely white. Then in compositing we will tweak it a lot, so don't worry about that. And this sun, I'm going to press M and send it to the third layer. Now save this again, and let's set up the render layers. So the first render layer will be the let's say the ocean, and the ocean will render the first layer, which is the ocean. Second render layer will be the sky background, and it will render the second layer. And finally we will get the sun, and this will be the third layer. Okay, so now what I can do probably is to go to the ocean, use environment, yes, use environment, okay. Let's go here, and here in the film, let's do the transparent stuff. And here's something that I would like to add is a very slight, the focus, field of view, depth of field, sorry, effect here. So I'm going to go for the camera. Let's make this bigger so we can see better what we are doing. TN to hide that panels. And here in the camera options, let's go here to the distance, depth of field. So let's open this and let's increase the distance. And let's open it a little less, increase the distance. Okay, something like this. Keep in mind that here we could add also a lot of different effects like mist or anything we can think about to increase the realism of the scene. Okay, but for now I'm going to let it like this. I'm going to set up the final render so we can render it, and then we will come back and adjust the final compositing, right, to make it look a lot better. So this size is okay. Sampling, let's put like, let's go for sure to 5,000 there. And here the clamp, let's play a lot with the clamp so we get good result. Here the clamping, basically what it does is to reduce the, if there are some completely white spots there, it will limit them so we don't get so much fireflies in the scene, okay? But the disadvantage probably is that here, for example, I have this emission material that is emitting in completely white and very with a lot of strength, and what is happening is that it's being also limited, so we can see the actual color of that emission. So as we increase it, you can see how the color also changes. So let's something like 5, for example. This, as I said, helps decreasing the noise and the fireflies in the final render. Okay, but it's not mandatory to use it, but I prefer to use it. Okay, here also in the performance, let's go, and as I'm using the GPU, this looks like it's okay with 256 squares to render. Okay, so I save this one last time and press F12 to make the render. Let's see what happens. Well, it looks like 500 samples is being enough, and well, it will take a little while, so I'll come back when it's done. Okay, so the render is already done, and here we have the ocean, and here we can switch to sky background and the sun. So here we have everything. So press escape, and I'm going here to the compositor already. I already activated it. I activate use nodes, activate the backdrop. Okay, click Control Shift and left click to have the viewer here, right? Note that the image already appeared here and the nodes were already here, even I didn't apply still the use nodes because I already did it before. Okay, so you can probably find it it behaves a little different for you at this point. So okay, now we have this. We are going to start compositing this stuff. So click, left click and control, drag, and you can cut links. Let's duplicate this twice. Okay, this one will be the sun. Here, pick the sun. This one here will be the sky background. Okay, let's put some space there, and let's start by the basic stuff. Here, let me check. We can mix. Let's actually give some space to the sun because I need to do something before it's mixed. And here, something like this. Just apply here the alpha. So the sun will be here. Okay, and we need to apply it correctly. So let's put it on add mode. So we have some kind of lighting there. And now what I'm basically gonna do is to add a filter here, add a blur, activate relative, and blur it a little bit, like 4 and 4. Right, there we have it. Now probably would be cool if we add another add node here, another blur, we plug it there, and here let me show you something. We can press shift, left click, drag it here, and instead of going back from this point, well, at this point is pretty close, so we could just do this, but I'm going to show it to you because maybe if this node is farther away from us, it's very easy to come from here and apply it here. So we can do here some kind of cross section that it can allow two outputs from the same input. All right. So if we have a really big node tree, we can come from here and separate some different ways from here and not having a lot of lines going on from the beginning. Okay, so it's I find it pretty cool. And this one we can just blur it a lot more. So that's it. Difference. Okay, so we have the sun there. We can even deactivate here the alpha because we are adding it. There's no need for an alpha. And we can increase here the amount of that. Looks like it's not working as expected. Okay, so what I can do is to come, just do this, apply this one right here. Okay, just apply one, and here apply the other one. And then we indeed get something a little different. But here instead of the first one, we apply this. So let's see the difference. Okay, here we have less, brightness, and here we have some more expanded brightness, which is exactly what I'm looking for. And we can keep playing with this, like 3, for example, 3 and 3. There we go. Okay, let's get away with this for now. Maybe later we can change something else. And now the next thing we need to do is to mix this with the ocean already. So I'm going to color, mix, place this here, and now apply this in the foreground with this activated, right? So when we activate this, we actually are picking the alpha channel of the foreground. So we get this. We have the sun already included in our sky, and we are seeing here our ocean. But you can see here that we have some kind of dark border at that point. So what I'm gonna do instead is to use an alpha over node. Let's see if it looks better. All right, here we don't have that that border. This works nicely. Okay, so we have this. So now I'm going to actually tweak a little the colors of the ocean. So let's go to color, RGB curves, to make them try to make them fit better with the background, right? So make them brighter probably. Now decrease a little the blue tones, just a little. Increase probably the red tones, right? Because there is a lot of red happening in the background, and maybe tweak a little the green values, right? Note that you can tweak this with the values here, which is probably more, you know, fine-tuning that if you do it directly here. Okay, so I think something like this looks fine. Let's give some more space for the next operations we are going to do, and just select these guys, put them a little closer. Okay, let's save the scene, because now we are going to apply some more effects here of illumination. First thing I'm gonna do is to probably duplicate these RGB curves, bring this right here to the image, and just add a lot of contrast. Well, I should have done it right here. Okay, but doesn't matter because this is actually what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. Now, what I'm gonna do with this is to apply here a filter blur. Blur this a lot from relative, actually, I prefer. Blur this quite a lot. Not so much, just slightly here vertically. Something like this. And now I'm going to duplicate this add node, mix color, and just mix these two guys with this one in the foreground. So as you can see, if I increase the factor, I can increase actually the brightness of that part. Okay, this is like 1. We can increase it a little, or we can go here and blur it even more. Okay, so this is already a matter of how you like it. Something like this, I think it's enough, right? So we get already some kind of brightness effect, shining, and that is cool. Now we can probably add, I can try to add some kind of glare effect here, like filter. Let's say glare. Add it right here. And let's use ghosts. Okay, so we get some ghosts from the sun. And here we can tweak this a little bit. Okay, then when we add the final render, we can tweak this to high, all right, because now it will take you know, some time to work on the compositing. So instead, I'm going in before making the final render, I come here and I put the quality on high. So it takes a little more time in the final render, but we don't lose time here in the compositing. And here now we can increase this, all right, here. We can get a more shininess effect, mixing it So this is the ghost only. Right, and 0 is everything. We can probably try to tweak it a little like this. Not really. Okay, something like this. Or maybe let it on 0. And now just go ahead and add the RGB curves and tweak all the image together. Right, just decrease the blue tones so we gain more sunset effect. We increase the red colors. Play a little with the greenish. Make everything a little darker. Okay. And now let's go ahead and we can probably mix this. Mix this with a black image. Okay, and as the factor, I'm going to add a matte. And let me check here for an elliptical mask. So we can just put in subtract, mask on 1 probably. Let me check. Value 0. Sorry, I'm playing a little strange things here, but I want to make sure I'm getting this right. -1, no, 1, subtract. Why is not working? Okay, I was sorry for this. I was just playing around with it. Basically what I'm doing here is that I'm applying an elliptical mask, which is this one, to the image, so it lets some of the background pass through it in the borders. All right, and the background is actually a black image, so I'm going to create a vignette effect with this. And so basically what I'm going to do now is to increase the width and the height to fit the frame. Something like this. Something like this. And now I'm going to apply a lot of blur to this. So relative, increase it a lot and a lot. And see what happens. Decrease it. Okay, this looks better. And yep, I could try now some more thing. Well, maybe not, maybe it's okay like it is. Yeah, you know, I was thinking, but I don't want to make this so so long, because it's a matter of you playing with things that you like. Okay, so I was thinking on increasing the effect of these ghosts. Okay, to, you know, duplicate this one. Actually, let's do it just so you can see how to make it. So I'm going here. I want to see this, and here in the mix, I'm going to 1, so I can only see this these ghosts. Let's increase the iterations actually, or not really. Decrease the threshold. No, let's increase the threshold, so we get only the most important things in this effect. And now what we can do is to add another mix node here, put it on add mode, and just plug this in. So this way, let's Let's take a look. Okay, this is the original one, and this is the new one with increased ghost effect there. But I don't quite like it still. Okay, we can increase it even more, as you can see. Okay, but what I'm looking for now is to maybe apply a blur here. So it's kind of blurrish, but actually not so much. Just a little bit on the x-axis. Put it on 0 just to see how it looks like, and increase it a little bit. A little more. A little more. Okay, so you can see that we are achieving a, I think a more increased glowing effect here. So it's what I was looking for. And well, I think that we can have this, call this finished. Because as I said, I could still tweak a lot of details. I could tweak a lot the ocean material. I know it's not completely realistic, the foam. It's, we can get it so much better. But, well, it could take hours to do it. This is, a lot of times, this is a matter of, dedicating time to it and tweaking things until we get something that is cool. Or even if we don't get something that is really cool, we can just, delete it and start from scratch, doing another material that we like more, or test things. Okay, so I just wanted to show you how it can be done and how the method is working, so you can apply your own foam and get even a better result than me applying to it some more time. Okay, so if you have cool results from this, I would like to watch them. So you can put them as a response for the video on YouTube, or you can put it as a comment wherever you want, in the social networks, whatever. Okay, so I would like to see your results. So guys, this is everything for this tutorial. Sorry to take so long to do it, because there has been already a few weeks since the last one. I've been quite busy these weeks, but believe me, it will worth it, because I have something important to announce very soon. And well, the next tutorials will come up again as normally, I hope at least weekly, in a weekly basis. So the next one will be something pretty interesting actually, and I'm just going to give you a little tip on it, a little, how it's called, a little clue. I'm going to give you a clue. It's how to do anamorphic images with Blender, and I won't tell anymore, but stay tuned, because I think it's quite interesting. So yeah, this is everything for now. See you soon, and happy blending.